What's good, world? What is good? I'm out here extra, extra not ready. There we go. Perfectionist. What's up? How you doing? Hope you're doing good. It's Saturday night. And quick little breakdown of what happened yesterday and why I didn't stream much. I was trying to support and promote charity event, and we're trying to raise money for a great cause. It went very well, very exciting, but 24-hour streams are exhausting, especially for somebody like me who stays up a lot and doesn't sleep enough some days. So I'm excited for the next one. But we raised a lot of money, but mostly we brought a lot of awareness. People on my stream, it was over, I think, 8,000 who got to see the video live while it was happening. And then on multiple channels from Ellie to Frag to Paul, my main man, there was a big team of people trying to promote this charity for Help for Heroes, tribute to VE in the UK. Those who are from UK know what that is. In America, long story, uh, but it was a great time. And now I'm trying to decompress. I'm gonna probably play multiple games today. I know it says Call of Duty, and that's what we're gonna do. But I get a feeling we're gonna fly around town and play a lot of different things. All right. So I welcome you. I thank you. I am beyond grateful for everybody that comes and kicks it with me when I do these streams. It could be anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me. And I'm just making sure that we're good to go here. I have like 25 streaming outlets I'm on right now. And I like to check to make sure they're all good. I use my phone for that. But yeah, I hope everybody had a great weekend. If it's still not that great, you got a day and a half to go, today and tomorrow. Tomorrow's a very special day. Mother's Day, fortunately, we all have a mom. Or had a mom. If she's passed away or if she's still alive, I say take some time tomorrow to be grateful for her. And grateful for just in general being alive. If it wasn't for a mother creating you, holding you for 9 months, nurturing you during that time, you probably wouldn't be alive. Pretty sure. And the chances of one Persh baby being produced are in the millions. It might seem like it's happens every second because it does, but in a man's lifetime, his reproducing juices tend to uh, come by the millions. And then for women, their eggs. I don't want to get into this for the children that are watching, but the moral of the story is it takes a lot of probability for one person to live. So we got to be grateful for our mothers, be grateful for the fact that we're alive, that we've gotten that blessing, which is so critical. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, we're gonna get closer, man. I want y'all to see me, all right? I feel like the lighting is good today. It's because of the TV right here. It's just illuminating very well. If I play a dark game, it'll get dark. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure we talk about those important things. The charity yesterday, Mother's Day tomorrow. I'm excited. I have a gift for my mom. I don't want to say it because I know some family members be watching this, but it is something special, creative, and different. A lot of people will spend, and I've done it too, hundreds of dollars on a gift to try to, wow your mom. And of course, she's going to appreciate it. But honestly, the things that I've done that were free, there's been times where I would I would spend months, like every time I was at a family event, I'll record family members and ask them about my mother. Then I put a collage together for her on that. Then another time I wrote a poem and I put that out for her. So I've done a lot of those type of things, and it's very moving and 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 touching. And she cried and she showed everybody, and it was very powerful for her. And those things didn't cost me anything other than time. I just sat in front of a computer, breaking it down and cutting the videos up. And I say all this because you don't need money to show love. All right, love is free. Love is yours. All right, that's all I gotta say. But yeah. So I think we did a lot of talking. I think we're good to go. Can we do it? Can we do it today? Can we do it? I think we can, guys. It's going down. So I'm very excited to be playing Call of Duty again. Honestly, I have a lot of nitpicks with Call of Duty. It's not that it's bad. My thing was, people always say, "Oh, the game's bad." It's not that it's bad. Sometimes you lose interest. It happens in relationships. It happens with work. It happens with everything in life. You lose interest, and you gotta find a spark. And it takes two to find a spark. So to reconnect your relationship, to reconnect your passion for your job or things like that takes two. So your job's got to be innovative. It got to be creative, and you got to also do the same. When you're in a relationship, you're working to try to blend in moving parts. Somebody's changing, their lifestyle's changing, their mind is, something's going on with them. And it's up to you to adjust and keep developing that relationship and growing together. So, same thing with video games. Developers have to be creative, they have to innovate, they have to add something that's going to inspire us and just motivate us to want to continue to get play the game. And the problem with me was that Call of Duty, I felt like it's always stayed the same. And a lot of people like that. A lot of people like retro games, so they like everything to be the same. And I don't mind it. But they didn't take a lot of drastic changes to make me feel like, wow, this is so innovative. And this is why the Metal Gear series, to me, has been the greatest, because it would come out and it would innovate every time. Metal Gear Solid 1 broke the wall wide open. Metal Gear Solid 2 pretty much was almost Metal Gear Solid 1, but with enhanced features. But they had a story that was just unreal also. Then you go into part 3, which was just an unreal classic with so many little details that people still to this day don't even know that exist. And then you got part 4, which broke ground also, and it was one of the most powerful games for the PlayStation 3. Not just graphically with the cinematics, but a lot of small gameplay details that were very special and powerful. And then you keep going down the line, and these games are just so innovative, and that's what I asked for. So that's why Call of Duty for me for a while hasn't been the love project that I personally was in love with. I started MBK. It moved on and became something else, something special. But yeah, I really, 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 really hope I can get back into Call of Duty, because if I do, I'm gonna be a beast. And everyone knows when I played consistently, like 15 years ago, um, I was an animal, unstoppable. But then I fell off. I fell off, man. And it happens. It happens. But I'm gonna try this co-op real quick, see what happens. I want to start off with this just to warm up, since I don't play this game enough. It's always good to warm up things like this. But anyway, my friend told me go back to MBK. I mean, I'm gonna do it. MBK. This is for the old squad, just for the love. Just for the love. But yeah, so hope everybody's doing well, and you enjoy the content that's coming to you. I needed to check something. All right, let me turn this audio on, get my headset on. Game mode, baby.
We've been monitoring comms for intel on his warehouses, but they've locked us out with encryption. We can't break it in our time frame.
So we'll break his man instead. Al-Malik's staff lieutenants have taken residence in the neighborhood to the north.
You'll have to get close, understood?
I understood. Edit the loadout. I don't know how to play this game, so. Why is this thing weird? This is not good. I wanted to have tactical flipped, and it doesn't do it. So the story mode has different gameplay options, and that's why I'm a little bit like, what are you doing? It's not working for me. Alright, so I don't know what I'm doing here. We're gonna figure this out. This is my first time playing this, so if you know how to do this, feel free to hit me up. I'm gonna keep that there. Are these all just claymores? Alright, here we go. Alright, I'm going down. We let one guy die already? What is going on in this joint? This is kind of ridiculous. The amount of stairs we have to go down. It's like, what the hell are they doing? This is...
I copy.
Please just make a zip line or something to climb down. You know, not a rope, man. Sorry for the stream. If you guys are getting dizzy, so am I. Don't worry. Don't worry. Be happy. Alright, so I'm out. I don't know if there's items to get or what's to do here besides kill these people, of course, but I'm gonna just move on and go forward.
Thumb drive. Plug it into your tablet for analysis.
Oh shit, it's a good car.
Come in. Is it Armistice? Answer me. Shit! Cycles are scrambling now.
It's a lot of walking, folks.
Had the connection. That thumb drive decrypted their comms, but they changed the codes. Find another lieutenant and search him. Reloading!
Reloading.
We've lost another man. Stack it again. Every time we break into their network, it changes the encryption. Finds the next lieutenant.
Reloading.
I'm over here just letting him do all the work. It's all good. Alright, time to play. I'm ready now.
Team report. We've lost another man. Check it again.
Let's find this guy. Oh, they suicided, huh?
Let's cover and move.
Every time we break into their network, they change the encryption. Find the next lieutenant.
Be advised, infantry inbound.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think this was a good choice. I'll say it. But it's a good rhythm catcher. Practice my headshots a little bit. If I practice my headshots, I'll do fine here.
Reloading.
Last resource. Hold your ground. The rest of you, report to the stadium and protect the scramblers. We get. On for action. That was Al-Malik. Still a self-important shit.
Well, actually, I did play this once. We tried this. Me and I
That's how
don't remember who I was playing with. Sheesh, I have a bad memory.
locate those scramblers and take them down.
Me and a couple guys tried this. It wasn't easy. We played it. There we go.
Of course, take the trucks. Machine guns, juggernauts, Mr. Z has more than enough to spare. See, working with a bottom feeder like Al-Malik is more desperate for allies than we thought.
Desperate or not, they're deploying serious firepower to defend the scramblers. We need to get to that stadium.
Cameron, I know you're there. Try to take what's mine again, I'll peel your skin from head to toe.
Max ammo, baby.
On 4, head to the stadium. Should you find Al-Malik, bring him to me alive.
Where's the stadium? Is it this way?
Be advised, Arm 4. He knows you're coming.
I don't know where the stadium is. They left me. Oh. There it is.
On 4, we're approaching the stadium.
They took all the vehicles and then they leave me flat.
Friendly care package inbound.
Look for scramblers around the perimeter. When you find one, download all encryption data, then destroy the scrambler. That should reestablish our comms.
And allow you to call our gunship to rain fire on Al-Malik's forces. Copy that.
There goes the signal. See you on the other side.
Get in one of these vehicles. Make it happen. These two guys went in by themselves.
Come with me. I'll drive.
Got my own little battle going on over here.
Incoming! Light infantry!
Where did he go? There was a guy back here. There he is. Oh, wow. I really like the slide button to be on my thumbnail. This makes life a lot easier. They hit me hard.
No ammo!
Changing mags.
Looking for some armor. Getting a rhythm now. That's what I like.
Signal clear. Losing signal. Find another scrambler.
I'm on a solo mission. My teammates are just...
Enemy infantry! Moving on your position.
nothing. I really need some shield, some armor here, but it's hard to find right now. There it is. Thank you. Gotta be helpful while I'm not there. Follow?
Dropping armor.
Oh no! I messed up. I didn't think he was gonna be that tough. I'm so dead. This is good practice though. I need to be able to learn to shoot while I'm down. For no reason at all. We are all getting hurt here. Well, if we all die, then that's fine. I'll just leave. Like a sore loser, because I wanted to play PvP anyways. And there it is. Alright, I'm out of here. Terrible teammate. Good warm-up. That is not the way to warm up, though. But, I had to do it. It's just to show you guys some of my new features I'm excited about. Right in the commands. All you gotta do is type in a command and it will activate things like this. Or not. Alright, maybe I have to let me refresh it. There we go. I'm gonna try it out one more again. So the way I played there Got me feeling like this guy. Really? Let's leave it like that. Alright, I'm ready to go, man. We're gonna be serious right now. We're gonna go into multiplayer first before I do anything.
Hey, I'm Andy, and I started Harris, the shaving.
No. So I don't know if I'm gonna be on all night because Twitch won't let me be a terrible person and put up the UFC fight. It would be cool if they allowed you to have a private channel where people who purchase the same thing you purchase, you can watch it together. I'm sure they have other streaming outlets that do that kind of thing, but it would be smart for YouTube. Make what's it called? Netflix, Amazon Prime, all of those guys. It's an innovative thing that for streamers, it's gonna be useful to hang with their audience. Here we go.
Headquarters. Capture each HQ as it comes.
Oh, not this map.
First HQ located. Secure it.
Who's just camping over there, man? Why did I do that?
HQ active. Secure the location.
Are you serious right now?
HQ.
It's the same guy who killed me earlier.
Personal. We've got control. UAV.
Ah.
Enemy down.
Reinforcements available. Enemy personal radar online. HQ disabled. Get ready to move out. Stand by for new coordinates.
This is Falcon 3-0. Good copy. UAV beginning flyover.
Ooh. I hate these small maps, I swear.
Location confirmed. Secure the HQ.
You see, like, I just spawned it. This is why Call of Duty is whack sometimes, man.
UAV is out of fuel.
Enemy precision airstrike inbound. HQ online. Secure it.
I don't know this area much. Can't go around. Here I am.
Enemy personal radar online.
Falcon 3-1. Personal radar complete.
They're capturing the HQ. Personal radar standing by. UAV ready for deployment. Cluster strike is go for launch.
This is Falcon 3-0. Personal radar.
Enemy UAV overhead.
How do they still have that position? I dropped everything on their head. Makes no sense.
Enemy precision airstrike. Enemy UAV overhead. HQ disabled. Get ready. Stand by.
Just waiting.
Secure the HQ. Enemy sentry gun active. Enemy precision airstrike. HQ online. Secure it. Enemy personal radar on.
I can't believe I walked down there. It's alright, I can get another kill streak. I ruined my kill streak just now. Damn it. They did not want me to go up there. What the heck is this? I don't want this. Stupid torrent gun.
Enemy at the cargo container. Personal radar drone standing by. UAV ready for deployment.
Thing is, there's no freaking surviving all this.
Cluster strike. Enemy personal radar online. HQ disabled. Get ready to move out. Lock and fuel. Good copy. Stand by.
Damn, they got me. It's all good.
Copy. Falcon 3 en route.
Secure the HQ. Go. Enemy at the cargo container.
Come on. I accidentally pick up people's weapons.
UAV is out of fuel.
Going this way.
Returning to resupply.
This is where they are. Don't have a sniper to hit him in person.
Personal radar drone standing by. HQ active. They're capturing the HQ. UAV ready for deployment.
This is Falcon 3. Good copy. Falcon 3.
We've lost the HQ.
You can tell I'm not going for the HQ.
Is out of fuel.
Enemy personal radar online. Stand by for new coordinates. Enemy at the cargo containers. Cluster strike. Overall. New HQ identified.
Damn it. Don't kill me. Thank you.
HQ online. Enemy on the HQ. Enemy personal radar online. Enemy precision airstrike inbound.
Gotta stay away from that. Hopefully it doesn't land here.
Enemy at the container. Enemy personal radar online. HQ secure. Set security.
Come on. Should have got like 7 kills right there. I got 3. 3 in those. It's a pretty good run. 26 kills. Doing alright from our first game.
HQ disabled. Get ready to move out. Stand by for new coordinates.
Like, I truly hate this map. I love this map, but I hate it. For big matches like this, I don't think it's as strategic as it could be. Because it's so tight. You know what I mean? Like,
Reloading.
Allied online. Secure it. You're at the HQ. Stand by. Less than a minute. Almost over. This is their final.
damn it. They're not letting me up. Damn torrent is stopping me from getting up there. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to,
Enemy personal radar online.
Oh, wasted that. That's fine. Killing them all, baby.
Personal radar drone standing. 30 seconds. Time's up. Move. HQ contested. They're capturing the HQ.
Wasted.
Falcon 301, full personal radar coverage.
They're still gonna capture it even though I'm shutting it down?
Enemy UAV overhead.
Makes no sense. It's that torrent.
Get ready to move out. Stand by for new coordinates. Enemy UAV overhead. Confirm. Secure the...
This is Falcon 3-0. Personal radar depleted. Recalling safe.
Enemy UAV overhead. Personal radar drone standing by. HQ online. UAV ready for deployment.
This is Falcon 3-0. Good copy. UAV beginning flight.
23 kills. First game of the night. Putting in work. Doing what it do, baby. And I don't play Call of Duty. I just looked at it yesterday. Me and the friends was playing on for the charity event. And I don't play Call of Duty a lot. I played 6 hours of this game in total. I can go show it to you in a minute for anybody watching on the mobile apps. I know you guys got come through by the hundreds. I appreciate y'all so much. I might just become a mobile streamer at some point. Because y'all been, since I came back like a month ago or whatever, you've been coming out strong. YouTube, Twitch, and Mixer, and all those places are up and down. I need consistency in my life. I'm trying to settle down, you know. All right, let's check that match review out real quick to see what happened there. Here we go. All right, so 33 kills, easy, destroying folks, and pretty good, if you ask me. Speaking of 33, let's go into some of my, where would I go to see my record? All right, so 7 hours. I lied. Well, it was 6 hours and some change yesterday. I've only played 7 hours of this game, and I'm doing some numbers. I'm not proud of that right there, because a beast like me in a map like that, I should be in the high 50s, to be honest with you, like on a regular basis. But since I don't play Call of Duty, I haven't played in years, 15 years since I really was dedicated to it. A little over 15 years, probably like. But it was Call of Duty Modern Warfare Part 4 was the last one. But shout out to everybody coming through, hanging out with me. Apologies if I'm not paying attention to y'all. Notice, I love you, man. Had a long day. I can't even describe it to you guys. I'm not gonna play good on this round because I want to talk about it. But the long day was so rough today, and it was all because yesterday I had so much excitement and so much going on with the charity and 24-hour event, and we did so much great things. See, that's what's gonna happen right there. Yeah, I don't remember this map. I played it a few times. Trying to heal up and get this guy. You little bastard.
Enemy has captured the HQ.
Shoot. But so it's been about 17 years. Call of Duty Part 4 was the original one that I played a lot of. Other than that, I never played Call of Duty like that. Other than that one Part 4 when I started the MBK and created a esports team back then. This was before my son was born, I believe. I don't know. Can somebody Google what year it was? I'll check the comments out in a second. But whatever year it was that game came out was the only time I was truly dedicated to the series. After that, I would play casually, barely. And as you know me, I'm a hardcore gamer. If I tell you it's casual, it's probably still at least 20, 40 hours, if that, maybe. So, come on, hurry up. I don't know the map, so I want to use the radar as my guide. The radar's not working. Clearly. I don't know where I'm going. What was crazy was in that the Call of Duty Part 4, when I created that esports team, I didn't expect it to be anything because I had my cousins, I had their friends, some random friends of mine, and then I put together the best players and just let them rock. And I said, y'all gonna win. I didn't think they were gonna win championships. Honestly, I didn't think they were gonna do that great. And the next thing you know, they won multiple championships, man. And they're still going strong right now. And they've expanded out to different players, and everything's changed. I don't even talk to them anymore. But you know, one of them hit me up like, yo man, you're the man. Memories, founding father. Bruh, I haven't seen nobody. Oh, there we go. Whoa, I gotta get out of there. They are gonna rock me. There's too many of them. Sometimes the strategy is to move away. Ah! But other than that one time, I didn't have, are these the hollow tips? I wasn't paying attention. Damn it. But, speaking of that, those that are in the chat, if you can hit commands for me, I got a list of them on Twitch. I'm probably going to have to put them on all the other platforms, but there's a list on Twitch, and they're hilarious. You guys got to try them right now. If you're on Twitch, scroll down to information, look at the commands. It says try again, and then there's a list of commands, and they're hilarious, and you're going to love it. I promise. I promise. So what I'm doing right now is I'm scouting the map. So I'm actually not even trying to play the objective or even get kills, to be honest with you. I'm learning the map right now. That's what I'm doing. If I'm really gonna get serious, I gotta learn the map about each game. Damn it! I should have not shot at him. He was too far. But so yeah, so the commands are hilarious. There's what it is they're themed commands, and when you press them, an action will happen, something that you'll see and you might love, you might enjoy. Let me look. I don't even know what my own commands are, guys. I'm gonna look at it. So for example, exclamation nice when I do something good. Exclamation help when you think I need help. Exclamation I ain't got no time for that. Exclamation no time. Exclamation sad when it's a sad moment. Exclamation shame when I'm do something stupid. Exclamation GG when I win the game or something. Exclamation defense, you'll see. Exclamation sexy time. Alright, I'm gonna look at the chat in a minute right now. Once I hear the alert come on. Oh, they're killing me right now. I can't have it too loud because it's gonna blow up my microphone. Alright. Alright, I'm not playing this game, guys, but I'm learning the map. So now I understand it's kind of just a big glob of buildings. Oh, we got Cloudy Chip in the Twitch right now. What's going down, Cloudy Chip? He said, not bad for a rookie. That's hilarious. I'm a veteran. I'm old. I'm old to this game, man. He said 15 years. What do you mean? Since I played? Yeah, more or less. More than that, probably. 17. Okay, so it wasn't, that's crazy. I thought it was over like 20 years ago. But it was actually only 13 years ago. So, my son was alive back then? I thought he wasn't born. I thought,
We're disabling the HQ. HQ contested.
wow, he's good.
Disabling the HQ. Keep your
2007. I mean, 2007, so.
location secure.
Alright, I gotta play a little bit.
Enemy UAV overhead. Next HQ up in sight. Get enemy care package inbound.
So, when there's not an HQ, the best thing to do is roam, try to catch people off guard, and hope that you can catch a team at their spawned area. You can be able to get multiple guys. So I got a big clip. I got 50 rounds, right? This guy, I wasn't paying attention. I got 50 rounds, right? I'll tell you what the way I think and the way we set this up back in the day. So what we used to do, we used to have 3 top roamers. I was one of them. And basically, I would not play the objective. And I'll just slaughter teams and get kill streaks all game long. And that would pretty much give us... The kill streaks would give us control of the map. And then there'll be about 2 guys capturing at all times. So the people that are not capturing, the 3 players that are not capturing, are actually the most important facts of the game, because what happens is... This dude scared the life out of me. I'm definitely playing terrible here. So what happens is the people that are not playing the map, they're spawn trapping everybody. So they spread out the map and then they're just killing anybody, not giving them a chance. Wow, I walked into that.
They're capturing the HQ. Go. HQ contested. Enemy on the HQ. Get over there.
Damn it, it didn't work.
Enemy UAV overhead. Securing the HQ. HQ secured. Hold on.
Putting a little pressure so that they won't be able to come up. I couldn't shoot! Somebody type in exclamation potato. Cloudy Chip trying to act like he's not here watching. And he's text earlier. Cloud exclamation potato when you see me fail.
They disabled the HQ. Reinforcements inbound. Next HQ up in tech. Get ready.
Sheesh. This This is a terrible round.
New location ID.
I definitely don't like this map.
No, 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 no.
There it is. There it is. Till. There you go, Till. What's going down, bro? At least you know what's up. Cloudy Chef don't know how to do those things. It's easy, man. Hit the exclamation point and type in the word.
HQ is free.
Dude,
They're capturing the HQ.
don't you see I'm streaming here?
Enemy cluster strike incoming. Take cover.
I had to try to stop them from capturing, so I rushed in there. Let's see if this can get them.
Enemy at the center.
Be advised. Enemy position in. HQ contested. Get over there. HQ contested.
Damn it. See, I was trying to capture those guys back there. Show you guys how to suppress them, but first of all, I don't have a ranged weapon that I would like to use, and I'm getting killed right on the spawn. Hey man, take it easy with all that.
HQ secured. Hold out as long as you can.
This dude's spamming with the don't get banned, bro.
Enemy UAV.
My mod sometimes be in here watching, and the bot
HQ disabled. Get
the
ready
bot
for
that
the
controls the chat will ban you also if you put in that type of stuff. I don't know why it does that, but it's like a weird thing. If you spam it, it'll damn, they just slaughtering.
overhead. Enemy care package inbound.
Ah, they got me.
HQ contested. Securing
All right, we need this one, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to pull my stunt real quick.
en route for personal radar coverage. HQ contested. Enemy on the HQ. Get over there.
Grenade out!
Enemies halfway there.
I don't know where they at. I'm just trying to suppress them. There he is. Damn it, there's still one. I didn't expect that.
Disabling the HQ. Keep your eye. This is Jaguar 3-0. Personal radar is bingo fuel. Recon. Location secured. Almost done here. Ready up. Enemy UAV overhead.
Trying to get our.
Copy. Jaguar 3-0 en route for personal. New HQ established.
I should have been ready. So see how the HQ's over there? Instead of going over there, I'm going to go around and try to flank these guys. They're going to be pushing in. So if I go around the map, I'll most likely bump into them as they spawn. See, I should have waited. I shot early. Now they know I'm here, but that's fine. I'm going to stop 2 or 3 of them, and they're going to have to come and get me.
This is Jaguar 3-0. Personal radar. HQ secured. Hold out as long as you can.
Oh, I guess not.
HQ contested. Personal radar drone ready for it. HQ.
Shouldn't have reloaded.
Enemy on the HQ. Defend.
What's going down? What's going down? Everybody in the mobile like, yo, what's up with them alerts? Yeah, so you can trigger them at any time. I am going to restrict them in the future. I just want to see how people behave with them, how they use them, and things like that.
Get to the new HQ.
This is a... Come on. Oh, that was his friend. I was about to say, there's no way he got me. That was his buddy. It was a great shot, too. I had to see it. But yeah, Till, if you want to try out all the commands right now, I'll give you permission. Because they're brand new. I haven't even announced them at all. This guy sucks. I wasn't even trying to shoot.
HQ is free. Get a move on. Securing the HQ. HQ is ours. No reinforcements.
For example, we captured it, but I'm all the way on the other side of the map. And the reason this is good is because now, hopefully, I'll creep up behind... Oh, no! I was going to say I creep up behind people. But I lied.
It's too hot. You'll redeploy for the next one. HQ contested. Enemy UAV overhead. HQ contested. Enemy Wilson deployed. 30 seconds. Move your army. Enemy on the HQ. Defend.
Gotta reload.
Did a good job. Scored big there.
HQ shut down. Regroup. Next HQ up in 10. Get ready.
Oh, no. I hate that thing. That's a ridiculous tool, though.
Enemy at the center.
I walked right into it. Threw the grenade knowing it was going to come, but then threw it too early. I hate you. Might have to grab that. What number of kill streaks you got to get that thing? Because that's a ridiculous tool right now. It's disrespectful.
HQ active. Move to secure. They're capturing the HQ. Go. Be advised. Friendly precision air.
This is like the worst round. My spawning is no bueno.
Friendly UAV overhead. Copy. Jaguar 3-0 in route. They're capturing the HQ. Go.
They got it.
They've taken the HQ.
I'm going to actually stop them this time. Normally I just suppress the enemies, but I'm going to go ahead and...
Disabling the HQ. Keep your eyes open. HQ contested. Shutting down the enemy HQ. HQ captured. This is Jaguar 3-0. You've lost the lead, soldier. Next HQ up in 10. Get ready. New location ID. Friendly UAV overhead.
Once you start firing like that and there's multiple guys, you want to find a different position.
Enemy on the HQ. Get over there. Allied cruise missile away. Friendly
Got
UAV
defeated.
overhead.
Got defeated. Oh, man. It's a tough one. Positioning is everything. Positioning is everything. The one thing with Call of Duty that I hate and love is the spawning system. It's just a randomized, depending on your position is where other people will spawn most of the time. Once in a while, you'll end up spawning right in front of somebody. So they'll just kill you, but they try to keep you away. And I like it and I dislike it. I don't know how to feel, man. Because a lot of standard games, the original games, made it so there's a one spawn area. In future games, they made it you can choose different areas to spawn in. So that tactic can work or it can be harmful. For this type of game, it's necessary to have it randomized because this is a fast-paced push, push, push type of game. You know. Actually, wait a minute. We're gonna back out of this for a second. There's one thing I forgot to do on my settings, and why does this not have stick? What was I gonna do? Oh, yeah, count. So crossplay off. Anytime you're playing solo or with friends that are on the same system, you want to do crossplay off. Reasoning is because PC players are cheaters. You can't trust them. What happened to my music? There we go. What it do, baby? What it do? I need that ear break. I feel like my thing makes my ears a little bit sweaty. Alright, you ready? Let's go. So good. Alright, I don't even remember this map. I don't think I ever played this one. Might have not. Damn it. Kind of remember this map. I might have played it once or twice.
Friendly UAV online. HQ online is moving.
Hey, I'm Andy, and I started Harry's,
Come
the
on.
shaving company that's fixing shaving. At Harry's, we keep it simple. We make sharp,
Enemy
durable
VTOL jets in the AO.
honest prices.
They're taking the HQ.
We obsess over quality.
Enemy in the woods.
So give us a try for this special offer. Get a Harry starter set, 5-volt razor, weighted candle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for
Trying to sneak in there, man. How do I peek around the corner? How do I peek around the corner, guys?
Friendly precision airstrike on the way. No reinforcements.
I like it. We holding it down right now. C4. HQ with a C4. I don't know about that. Poor guy. I knew that was gonna happen. Wow, we smashed those guys. Wasn't even close. It wasn't even close, man. The director of Kong Skull Island explained his beard to me today. This girl sent me the most funniest things. It's been a minute since you played this game. The game's not even out a year, dude. What you talking, man? What's going on at GMS? I'm just chilling right now, warming up. So what I like to do when I play battle royale games is I like to either get into the action right away and just fight, or practice on regular game mode. That way I could get better, you know, with my gunshots. So in battle royale, what happens a lot is you spend 15 minutes getting weapons, you don't see nobody, and then you get into the fight after, you know. So let me copy this real quick, send it to this girl. She's hilarious. So for me, what I like to do is warm up and get hot. Me, I'm chilling, man. I'm recovering, dude. I don't know. Yesterday was a rough ride. It was an amazing time, but not sleeping for like 30, 40 hours for the charity event was a lot for me. Um, so you know, I'm just looking at this girl's post so far. She's hilarious. She's dead serious too. This is what it's come to. Oh my. Let me go ahead and I need one map that I know. If they give me one map that I know, I'll light it up and get what I want out of it. See, this is just a weird map. It's wide open. I never played on this thing. This is like the White House? Fake White House? This is the Arabic house? This looks like a palace.
They've taken the HQ. One down. We're losing ground. Take it back.
Grenade out! Reloading. I got you. Let's go. Enemy comes.
Get out. I hit him with a grenade. He should have went down. We lost that. It's all good. But yeah, so no, I was tired today, man. And then I had a lot of work to do today. Just mentally draining work. Like I'm building this website for somebody. I'm doing all this brand new stuff. It's just a lot. And I'm like, wow. But I'm excited. I'm happy because I wish time could stop for at least 1 week to let me just work and learn what I want to learn. A lot of the work I do is passion. It's not about it's not about it's not about getting paper, getting money. It's always about passion and following my heart, doing what I enjoy. You know, I'm lucky enough to have that mindset to not let money control how I live or control my motivation. You know what I mean? My motivation is always passion first. His buddies are gonna be right behind. Oh no, wait, they're all over inside.
Capturing the HQ. We have the
No! Let me get a respawn. I died right when we captured. But yeah, so that's how my passion works, man.
HQ contested. The enemy's here. Defend the HQ.
That's how my passion works, and that's how my life works. You know, people get stuck in these jobs they hate, and they're never really truly satisfied. Now, don't get it twisted. You can get a job you don't like and learn to deal with it and learn to just live with it and get conditioned to it. It's like 2K players. A lot of 2K players hate the game. They play it because there's nothing else, and they can find enjoyment hanging out with friends or at least dunking on somebody and,
Enemy UAV overhead.
you know, things like that. Bro, get away from me. Trying to learn this map. So like I said, so a lot of people get stuck in these jobs just like they stuck in these games where they don't like them. They play them. Like, for example, I played 2K. I did it for support of my cousin. I did it for the basketball because there's no other basketball coming out every year. And I'm definitely not going back that way.
HQ is ours. Defend it.
You gotta earn it. I'm going in.
The enemy's here. Defend the HQ.
Ah! It's all good. So, it's the same thing with business and work. Like, for me, for the past 5 years, I found a way to not have to go work 40 hours every week to live, you know? And I don't get it twisted, never been rich, and I'm not rich. My family's not rich, man. I grew up on welfare. I grew up on... Oh. What is that? Where did he kill me from? Oh, okay. He passed right by me. Sheesh. But, you know, my mama's disabled. She don't work. So I grew up poor when I was a kid. And I don't got no money saved up. I ain't got a big bank account. A lot of people think that because I be doing my little videos. I do all my stuff, make it look official. That's called hard work, man. That's called dedication. That's called hustle.
We have the HQ. Stay alive. Friendly UAV online.
You mother flexer.
HQ contested.
Damn it. I should have just waited.
We can't send reinforcements.
But so yeah, so I grew up poor and I ain't rich. Let me go back to the gameplay. And I ain't rich and I ain't got it like that right now.
HQ contested.
You know, but I make it work. I hustle and then I do what I love and I make moves on that. You feel me?
HQ contested.
I was just put up a post today on Instagram about something important that I want to talk about actually on this platform of mine. So I put up a post talking about supporting those around you. And what I said was it's funny how we support all these actors going to watch all their movies. We buy all these albums from our favorite artists. We get all that. You know, we just spend money on random people we don't know. Just straight up strangers. You know?
VTOL in the air.
You think I could cut through here? I'm gonna try. No, it's not gonna work. I went the wrong way. So, we spend all this money on strangers, supporting them. And then we go to, for example, like, you probably know an artist, a music artist. One of your friends, one of your cousins, one of your family members. and you don't ever buy their albums, but you went and you bought Jay-Z, Beyonce, or whoever you like. You know what I mean? And same thing with movies. You know, if you know anybody that has a movie, you should be sharing it with everybody. You should be supporting them.
HQ secure. We're moving soon. Get ready. Get to the new HQ. Friendly VTOL in the air. UAV online.
Damn it. So, show them love. Like, for example, if there's just one person that owns a grocery store, at least a city or two or three away from you, and you go to Stop and Shop, or you go to Market Basket, or you go to Shaw's, you go to whatever store, these big, gigantic billion-dollar stores, instead of going to the mom and pop store, you ain't doing your community right. You ain't doing your community a service, you know? Now, I ain't telling y'all to boycott any big corporations. It is what it is. I still shop at them, so I'm a hypocrite. You know what I mean? But the moral isn't about if I shop at them or anything. The moral is more about... Sheesh. The moral is more about supporting those around you. There's definitely somebody out there that's a music artist that you're not buying their albums, you're not promoting their music. I don't care if they're not the best. Nobody's gonna be Jay-Z. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's gonna be Nas. Nobody's gonna be DMX. Nobody's gonna be J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar or any of these great rappers. Nobody's taking that spot. You know, that's not a spot a lot of people will have. They just can't. It's unattainable for many, many, many people. And that's fine. But a decent artist who got at least a couple songs, pay for that. Pay extra. You know what I'm saying? Like, real talk. I'm trying to get up here because I thought there was somebody in here. He's probably dead. Nope. Ah! Try to get him, man. Damn, bro. I know where he's at. I just can't get him.
HQ contested. Disabling the HQ. Keep your eyes open. Location secured.
Damn it.
We're moving soon. Get ready.
Bruh. But yeah, so you gotta be supportive, man. Some chick that I know, you know, was like discouraged with herself because everybody in her family and friends don't show her no support for her what she's trying to do. And I explained to her,
Friendly UAV online.
I'm like, yo, don't worry about them. Like, that's just mental weakness. You know what I mean? Like, not believing in somebody who's trying to follow their dreams or their goals, that has nothing to do with them being bad or bad singers or bad art actors or whatever the hell the you know, the premise is. It's not about that. It's about you having a whack mind, being doubtful towards people who damn it, I'll keep picking up the wrong weapons, dog. I'm just gonna have to stay with this thing. Where's mine's at? There it is.
Falcon 301 roof. Monitor coverage.
The guy like right here. You know what? I'm gonna try to throw a grenade at him. They've been waiting for me that whole time, dog. So yeah, so it's like, get out there, man. Show them support. Sure, they might not be the best singer, but guess what? They trying and they can get better. You know, same thing with any other business. You know, whether they female want to be a makeup artist or the male trying to run a construction company or something, you gotta support that and you gotta push for that in every way possible. You know, if you don't have any belief in people, then that means you're weak-minded. Sorry to say.
Get ready for the next HQ.
Turn the camera off for a second. I'm back. I don't got my headset on.
Get to new HQ.
But yeah, man, that's my word. And like I said, they don't have to be the best. You just it's a big world. There's enough money out there for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll give you an example. GMS. You know what? We gotta talk. We gotta talk soon. Cause 2 years ago, I was talking about doing a esports league for NBA Live. Well, I lied to you. 2014. You can check Twitter for my tweets. I retweeted it recently to talk about how I've been talking about this, right? I've been talking about setting it up for a long time. And the reason I bring this up is because I go ahead and start the esports league, and I do videos, tutorials on how I set it up on Discord, how I'm running it on the website. Pretty much. Hold on a second. I gotta watch this video because they're trying to charge me because I'm too cheap to buy the official one. But as I was saying, so I do tutorials on YouTube. I put it up on Twitter. I put it up on Facebook. I put it up to the community. Like, this is how you do it. As that's happening, I'm getting all the hate, and I can name the names, bro. And they probably your friends too. So I'm just gonna be. This is a good conversation to have with you. It's good that the game ended too, because it's very serious. It's very serious, bro. So anyway, I set it up. I get it going. The moment I start to set it up, oh, they talking trash, trying to make me sound like a hater towards K Spade. There's people, different communities, not him, because me and him are cool. I talked to him about all of it. He's like, nah, don't worry about that. You know, he's been real good. But others were really trying to come at my neck and talking crazy, making up stories about me, just trying to put dirt on my name and say that I'm like a copycat of K Spade. K Spade never did a league. K Spade did a tournament, and I've been talking about and done tournaments before that. I didn't do it at the scale I did it now, but I did it. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because a lot of community members went crazy, and I kept my mouth shut, bro. I just stood there and took the blows. I let it be. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna turn this off for a second, because this is something I want to get off my chest, bro. I gotta get it off my chest, dog. I gotta get it off my chest, bro. And you're a good guy to get to, because you're in the community. So I let it be. There was one situation that I was wrong about, and I'll explain that later. But other than that one situation, it was a minor situation. But besides that one situation, it was crazy. But besides that, I started the league. I showed everybody how to do it. People started opening up leagues everywhere, and they started making moves. And I'm so happy, because that's what I wanted. The reason why I tutorialed it and showcased it, and I don't do tutorial videos. I don't know how many videos I got tutorials on there, but I got probably less than 20 out of my thousands of videos I've done. So the facts are, I started it off, first one killing the game, like real serious. My website has interactive stats. It has everything. You could click on the players, you could click on the teams, you could click on the matchup, check the stats, check their ranking, check who's top of the leaderboards, check who's, I mean, the score, the leaders for each stat, standings. Then we had the playoff brackets, everything interactive, just like the NBA.com website. I had all that. I show people how to use the Discord and make a league in the Discord. I show people how to organize and run the leagues. I did tutorials. I could put up a video. I'm gonna put one up soon to talk about this on Twitter. But so I did all that. This is what I've been, out of passion. While I was doing my league, right before it started, I announced all that, showed it to them, so that they could do the same. So Ped started doing it, but it was groups of people trying to hate on me, and they were talking reckless, and they were just coming up with nonsense. And it was during a real difficult time in my life, and my uncle was in the hospital. He had a coma. My niece had anemia. She was going through it. Like I just had a long list, man, of stuff that was just like impacting me. But I swallowed my pride, man. I did not say one word to nobody. I might have snapped a little bit on like two dudes on Twitter when they commented, replied to one of my messages, and they were like, "Oh, I don't know about this guy, this and that, and that," trying to talk crazy. I'm like, "Yo, you better fall back, bro." And I didn't say nothing bad. That was it. But the one time that I did come off, uh, I messed up on was it was on K-Spade's stream. I was like, damn, everybody was lit. They were like, yo, we can't wait for your league, mag. Heads was hyped. And then I don't want to say the person's name because then I'm gonna make this into a bigger thing. And then the person was there. Some person was there, and I'm like, oh, you the only one who said no to the league, bro. What's going on with you, man? Why, don't fall off. This is the real deal. So that was it. We left it at that. We didn't say nothing. Then he goes on his stream the same night, and he starts riffing and ranting. But the thing is, I'm in his stream because I was showing support for the K-Spade tournament. So I'm in the chat. I'm like, yo, what's up, everybody? We all talking. Then he goes on a rant about my league before it starts. This is like a month before it starts when it got announced. And he's like, I ain't feeling that. Da, da, da. So he talked crazy. So I'm like, what? Instead of going back at him, I privately hit him up, but he was just coming off wrong. And I'm like, dude, yo, I he's like, I didn't like how you said that I denied you. You didn't have to put that on to the public. That I said I didn't want to join the league. I was like, all right, it wasn't a big deal. That's all I said, that you weren't joining the league. But it became a thing because he was kind of like hot-headed on it. We squashed it. We didn't squash it, but we let it go. Like, you know what? Just let it be. That was the only little beef that I got involved with. But every time I left it very humble. And there's people out there who don't know the full story. Because some people have talked to me later. They're like, yo, is this, and that? And I'm like, where y'all get that story from? You know what I mean? But if you go and you ask the real heads from NBA Live that played in the league, or the people who took my tutorials and made their own leagues, like the 3-on-3 league that you asking about, you'll see, and they'll acknowledge it. Even if they hate it, they'll be like, yeah, Mag started all that. They still bring it up. It's still a thing. Like, and right now I'm boasting about it, and I've never tried to go get the recognition and put that out there like, yeah, I'm the pioneer. But in the end of the day, it's like, at least, if you don't want to give me that, at least give me the respect. And there's only a very small circle. It's like a group of people. But it's the same group, and you probably know them. Maybe you do know them. You're probably friends with them. But it's the same group back like 3 years ago when EA gave me mad codes. EA gave me the game early. EA was showing me love. They went on Twitter. They didn't know me from a hole in the wall. Who's this guy, Mag? Oh my God, why would they show him support? I've been doing this for years. He's not an NBA Live player. Who is he? What is he doing? And they try to they just went off. And they went off and they went crazy. And then I respond, you'll be alright. So I never attacked back on that cat. But then privately, I messaged that group. It was a group of guys. It's kind of like I don't know if it's a Facebook or something. It might be a Facebook. It might be like a PlayStation group. It's just a small little group. I forgot their names, actually. I probably got them blocked. Let me look him up. I'm gonna try to look him up right now, man. I might say it out loud. I might put him on blast right now, dog. I'm wilding, right? I'm wilding. Let's see if I can find him though. I don't know if I'm gonna find him. It's just like some of them cats was cool. They were real cool. And there was that one douchebag. You know. I can't find it. And they all apologized. They're like, look, we're not with him. We're not with him. We you know, we're not saying what he's saying. He's on our team and we gotta support him, but we're not trying to disrespect you or anything like that. It's not us in total. That's just him. He's mad that certain people got the codes early or got free games to give away, and that EA's supporting them and things like that. And I'm like, I don't care. That's a representation of you. For example, GMS. One story that I want to tell you, and this is another controversial one. This is good that you're here. I'll tell you straight up, and I shouldn't be talking about this on stream, but we doing it today. We going all out. The gossip is here. So I went on. First of all, I love and adore. What's this guy's name? Prime. I love and adore Swaggy P. Like, I just like their personalities. I like their passion for the game. I think they're great people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're really great people. I really respect them. So, a couple things happened that I never talk about this ever, but today's the day, gossip line. So basically, we all cool, right? Everything's cool. They invite me over to one of the podcasts to talk about NBA Live 19, I think it was. It might be 18. I don't remember which one it was. It had to be 19. So 19 comes out, and they talk about it. And a lot of the talk was negative. A lot of the talk was just focusing on everything wrong. And what I did, I said, look, I'm going to talk about the positive, and we're going to balance it out and see who has a better point about what the good and the bad. NBA Live's graphic improved. NBA Live's overall defensive got better. NBA Live's, just animations got better. They had a lot of things that improved in the game. They added more content to, what's it called? The One. They did a lot of stuff. So me and them are on this podcast live. And it turned out great, in my opinion, because it was both sides of the story. Right? Cool. And these aren't the same people, by the way. I'm talking about a separate crowd when I talked about that earlier drama. It has nothing to do with that, but I just wanted to talk about this with you since you're a part of the live movement and Swaggy P's in there. So anyway, so this all happens. We have a good conversation. It was dope. And I hope you listen. Let me know you're really into this one, because this is about you guys. Swaggy P's the man. So we have that combo. It ends. This is before the league and everything. So we get into it. It ends. Time passes. Things start happening for the league, and this is where this part picks up. That other group, who was just some haters, start hating on the league, going on Twitter, on my comments, always saying something crazy. Then, one of Prime's people, I'm not gonna say his name, but it starts with a J, and he gets on my comments. He said something about me, like, on a personal note. Like, if they want to talk about NBA Live and they want to talk, like, oh, he's not a gamer, he's not a streamer, he's not a this, cool. But he was talking about me, trying to say something like, oh, I forgot what he said, man. Because, like, it's not that serious for me, but he said something about my character. It was like a personal thing. And I'm like, what? And I look and I'm like, this is the dude that kicks it with Prime and with Swaggy P. Like, those guys are good people. You know what I mean? How is he represent? He's not representing them. In my mind, I'm like, there's no way this guy's representing them. with the way he's trying to talk about me. Because I got, in my opinion, I got a straight up clean slate, bro. I don't even curse. You feel me? Like, I got a clean slate. My content's always on point. I might not have the best content. I might not be the best player on some games I play, but I'm giving you good content either way. So, and as a person, I might not be the best either, and I make mistakes also in real life. My family can tell you that, my friends, my jobs, everything. But for someone random who don't know me from a hole in the wall to try to say something about me, I'm like, what's going on with this dude? So I thought in my head, because what happened was it was a post I tweeted. Then that group that was hating on me started messaging a lot of stuff. So it was the talk of the town for a whole day. Like, everybody seen it on Twitter, and they were messaging me like, yo, what's going on with all that? I'm like, hey, man, I'm not even entertaining them. So I never even responded to half of those comments. And then that guy does it, and I'm like, yo, what? So I message him. I'm a real dude. Like, I want to talk to you. I ain't gonna go on Twitter talking crazy. So I message him, and I'm like, yo, what's good? So then he's talking this, he's talking that, and he's like, saying what he's saying. I'm not gonna get into what he said. But after I talk with him, and we kind of like, we didn't clear the air, but I'm like, yo, I ain't messing with you, dog. You done. You know what I mean? So I squashed that beef because I'm like, you know what? You just ignorant. I'm gonna let you be ignorant. You didn't have a reason. You know what I mean? He was just like trying to throw at me. On top of the fire that was out there from these other guys, he throws it out. So then I talked to Swaggy P, and we just talking a lot, and I'm just trying to break things down with him and see what's going down, and he's like, hey, that's my brother, that's my fams, like, I got his back no matter what. And I'm like, I got you. We ain't fist fighting, so don't worry. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we was fist fighting, we got a problem right now. You know, it's just words. So me and Swaggy P kind of cleaned that up, and then he explains how, and this is the part that gets interesting. So he's like, you know, we felt like you were on the show and you were going against everything we said. And I was like, nah, I wasn't going against what you said. I was just trying to open the conversation up to ideas and to understand things, show appreciation for the game. Yes, it got a lot of flaws. What game doesn't? You know, 2K is a great game in many regards, but it's terrible in a lot of ways too. And then Live has its problems. Basketball games are just hard to do. So me and Swaggy P got into it, and we had nothing to do with anything. Swaggy P never once come out his neck to me. He never did anything. But since the riff from all these other idiots, it leaked into one of his friends. Now I'm talking to Swaggy P about it. You know what I mean? So it got that deep. So a lot of people in the community, like, I'll tell you even something even deeper. Some of the devs are like, hey, man, what's going on? Personally, they message me because I talk to them regularly, right? So I was like, nothing, man. I'm like, Cats was hating, and I'm not going to speak on it. And today's the first day I kind of like address it. But, so anyway, that's what happened. I had to get that off my chest. Since you're, you and Swaggy P's still rocking with you, right? He's over there at the Live Movement. He's one of your representatives. And how is the community over there? Because I got something very important to talk to you about. As a matter of fact, I want to show you something. Bro. You got to keep this private. All right? Leave a message on the message board real quick. How do I whisper you? This thing ain't letting me. Here it is. I'm about to whisper you something. And I don't want to talk about it directly on stream yet. But once you see this, you're going to know what's coming. Something big, something beautiful. Something that the live community is going to love. It's happening It's like in a month. The announcement is coming out in like 2 weeks. It's happening in a month, bro. And I need the NBA Live, the live movement community also. And this is a separate thing. If you remember what I was doing before, I don't know if you know. I don't know how in tune you are with what was happening. I was doing showcases and things like that. That's coming back also. You know what I mean? So there's this that you're looking at, and on top of that, the showcases of the community is also coming back. So need you guys involved. I want you guys to get in there. And the reason I brought up this drama thing was because I wanted to make sure we all clear, man. My sincerity, my true appreciation, and my passion is always there, and I'm always oh no, I pressed the wrong button. I have my controls set up different, so it's kind of weird sometimes. I'm trying to practice sliding and jumping. Check it out and tell me what you think, homie. Alright, that's enough of this, guys. We about to get very real. Woo. GMS. Good luck. Yo, my crush is texting me, dog. I gotta holler.
Gas is approaching your position. Move to the safe zone.
But me and my pressure about to have a coronavirus date, bro. Oh man. But yeah, no, man. Honestly, just wanted to get that off my chest. I've never told anybody any of this. Literally zero. You're the first person, and I did it on the air, so I'm pretty sure everybody else watching. If y'all want to make a clip and send it out to these people, I only said the people I love's name, the people I respect's name. For me, Swaggy P's an amazing guy, so I got nothing but love for him. So I'm able to say his name. We don't have no beef. We ain't got no drama. You know what I mean? Like, I'm saying his name because it's peaceful. And we did have a talk about some of the drama that was out there. But it wasn't drama between us. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always been good between me and him. He's just a good dude. Regardless if me and him we're not best friends or nothing. You know what I mean? But nothing but respect for him. And he got to ride for his people. So I never expected him to be like, yeah, he was wrong. And, you know, it is what it is. Uber Eats her the food that I ate on screen. You funny, dog. You funny. So did you check the link out on the Whisper? Because you're not talking, dog. You're not talking, man. You got to go to that link right now. Right now, bro. Turn the stream off and come back. I promise you. And that's just a taste of how it's going to really be. Click that link, homie. Click that link. You know, I forget that I could just jump down. I don't have to walk downstairs. Where should I go? Because this thing looks crazy. And everybody else, there was just some stuff that happened. In communities, this type of stuff happens. Specifically with me, because I'm a pulverizing figure. I know I am. I know that's how I am. That's who I am. I bring out controversy everywhere I go, and it's all because of passion. And sometimes it, you know, it could cause issues between me and people around me. Oh no!
You idiot!
How was there 2 people
No, 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 no.
Is that Till trying to do the potato? That's how you feel, potato head? I gotta get some armor, bro, because they're gonna shoot the life out of me. I don't got my headset on. It's some two-man team. A dude without his hat. They be cheating, dude. They go into single player together. Yeah, go check it out on your phone, homie. Trust me. Come back and be like, yo, it's popping. Because it is popping. Shout out to Till, man. Shout out to Till. They couldn't kill me, though.
No, 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 no.
I'm a potato. That's how you feel, Chill? You stupid. Don't spam it. You know? One at a time.
You idiot.
This dude's wildin'. I appreciate you using it, though. I want people to know about it. So basically, my users can punch in a command. Easy. Should I use this or this? I'm gonna go with this bad boy. More rounds. So I'm staying quiet because there was a team here. A two-man group. But yeah, you can use it as many times as you want to. As long as it fits the situation. The rule that I'm trying to set is as long as it's a part of the situation that's happening. My potato aim, for example, anytime I'm acting crazy, do that. Try them all out right now first. Try them all out. Try them all out so that I could see them, make sure that they're working. I know that they're working. I already tested them, bro. I got more in store, too, that I just haven't put them out. I don't want everybody to know. I'm letting them fight. How many are there? Right now I got like 50, but on the commands, I only got like 10 or 15 out. Stop doing the idiot one, bro. You've been doing that one since 3 days ago.
You idiot.
How about some originality? There's a bunch of them, dude. Look at the commands.
No, 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 no.
I'll try to get these guys. What's crazy to me is that there was two of them. They both were shooting at me, and they didn't get me. So I'm walking slow on purpose. The other ones are on there, bro. They're right on the screen. If you scroll down on my command center, it's the first thing that's gonna pop up. Oh wait, I gotta. Nice. Look at all this. Somebody was here. GG. There you go. Nice. Slow down. He's doing them one after another. I might change that graphic, but I wanted something goofy for the sexy time. Alright, I gotta start playing because I'm slacking on my pimping right now. There you go. That one's long. That's from my Metal Gear head. If anybody knows Metal Gear, they know that song. And that's the main characters from the game. So at any point, you can trigger any of these for the situation. You know? Alright, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm gonna go get me some. I gotta go back this way. a self revive, or I'm gonna go with this. What else could I get? Let me go with this armor, dog. Ah, took too long. Anyway, you see what's up. But yeah, so there you go, Chill. Now you know, man. I'm doing my thing. Is that it? I'm done? I can't come back? I think I could come back, right? Nah, I think that's it. I should have saved my money. I could have respawned it. I wasted all my money to die. That was a bad move, yo. I didn't even know that until right now, until I looked at the map. So if you have 4,500, you can respawn at any time. It's crazy. Life lessons. I'm out of here. GG. GG! So, Till, what's going to happen is subs are going to get their own customized alert that they can trigger. So you're going to be able to recommend, if you're a sub, you're going to be able to recommend your very own customized alert. It has to be non-offensive. It has to be, you know, Twitch friendly. And we're going to put that up and have fun with it. So that's coming in the near future, man. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try something, man. I'm going to try something. Let's see how this works. Don't mind the little glitch you're going to see for a second. I just want to see some. What if I did this? How do we feel about having the screen in the back? I might do that. That feels better. That looks kind of dope too, actually. How we feel about that one? Something new. Because I usually put a picture of the game I'm playing in the back. But when it's a live action, that could be sick. I don't know how not. You know? We'll see. Did I see your last message? Nah, bro. What you do right? This dude was spamming the life out of my my bad. Yo, Till, stop doing that for a while, bro. I gotta scroll all the way up. Nice setup. Is it just a mock-up? So, GMS, if you go to maggamer.com, I have a court battle league with the original season that I had and the playoffs. So it's all there. The history of last year's season. Oh no. So last year's season is all on maggamer.com. But now we switched it up. I can't say what the site is, but I could tell you we have our own site and it's going to be popping. All the old games will be transferred over to the new one, and we'll also have the updated new season that's starting soon. I can't say more than that. I'm saying too much already. But yeah, I could send you the old one real quick, just so you can see that while we're at it. See if I could get into my whispers real quick. So the old one, I want to send you the exact link. I think it was this right here. I'm guessing it should work. So that was the original one. I just sent it to you. And all the information, the stats, you can see the original games, who was playing, all that. But the new one is going to be straight up, none of Mag Gamer. You know, it's not going to have articles and videos and nonsense. It's going to be strictly esports focused, you know. So, I just decided, man, it's too many people stressing me out about stressing me out about uh, the site. So I wanted to make an official site. I wanted to do it last year, but I had too much going on. Finally, we got it, and that is kicking off soon. Now, you want to keep that private? Nobody knows. You're the first. Well, you're the second person I've sent the link to. The first person I trust with my life, and they only were there to just give me a quick impressions on something.
Time for the real thing.
But yeah, man. So keep that private for now until we get it going. You feel me? Speaking of that, let me try some real quick. Here we go. Elgato.
Battle Royale. Gas is closing on your position. Suggest you get moving.
Alright, where am I going? I see it. Alright, so here we go, guys. What did I just do? Jam. Okay, we back. But yeah, man. But yeah, you know, it's the real deal, man. And it's a real deal. And I've been doing this for real with the real love, and I'm gonna go ahead and boast. And out of something I don't like to do a lot, but I'm gonna be doing a lot of it this year. I promise you. I am the greatest. I have created the greatest NBA Live esports league ever made last year in 2019. Alright? Nobody's done it better. Not even EA has done what I did. I had an official website with all the stats for the league, official website with all of the teams, profiles, the players' profiles, official stats of the players, everything. Why can't I switch? There it is. Not even the NBA Live company has done that. I'm the only one in all of history to put it together like that for NBA Live. If there's people out there that's done it, show me. Tell me. Put it out there. And if they did, they didn't do what I did. If you go back and you see, I had live coverage of games. I was killing it out there. Great commentary, live coverage, great presentation. Man, I had commercials. My thing was so official. We had commercials on the stream, bro. People were like, really? Commercials? When I mean commercials, it was like NBA Live commercials. It wasn't like, you know, Twitch commercial nonsense. It was NBA Live related commercials. I'm going to go ahead and stick with this gun. So, like I said, it was the real deal, Holyfield, man. I put my heart and soul into it, and now it's going to be twice as good in the near future. That's all I could say. Somebody just shot at me. You little bastard. Take that. Thank you. Come again. But, nobody did it better. Nobody did it better. And a lot of people that are true and not just like being haters about it, they've said it over and over and over and over. So much that I was already convinced. But now, you know what I mean? Like, it's like double convinced. And that's extra cocky right now, but that's just real. And honestly, I did it for the love. I did it for the passion of the game. And appreciative of the opportunity. And we're going to bring it back, man. Even though NBA Live is a death box right now and they're not popping the way they... Ooh, this is going to look crazy. Where's the closest store, bro? I got to get out of here. Wait, let me just go into this house. I should have kept that submachine gun, man. I don't know what I was thinking. Let me go back and get that bad boy. AKA flexing. Yes, sir. I had to, dog. Because these cats, These cats be tripping, dog. You know? And it's all because I kept it extra humble. Because I kept it extra... Oh, wait. It was in the box, right? I don't know where that box was. I kept my mouth shut. I kept quiet. Everybody was throwing blows. Kept quiet and just did my thing. We're going to go with this. A submachine gun and assault rifle. This is kind of my play style, so... I ain't into that long range with Call of Duty. I'm actually... I already...
Enemy
Uh-oh.
UAV overhead.
Gotta get out of here.
Enemy UAV overhead.
How many UAVs they got?
Enemy UAV
Damn
overhead.
it. Yeah, man. So this time around, it's gonna be even better. Things are good in my life right now. Things are going right. You know what I mean? So I have the time. I have the energy. You know. I'm also building a team, bro. I need a team. It's always been me solo. It's not because I wanted all the credit. Trust me. It's just that way. Not everybody wants to put in work when it's free. When you're doing something for love, nobody wants to do the work. Everybody want the credit. Everybody want the fame. They want the money. Nobody want to do the work. You know, sadly. It's just the truth. Alright, I'm about to go get this dude. And I'm going to walk slow. Hopefully nobody creep up on me. Put this headset on real quick. Hopefully he didn't see me. Downed him. Thank you, sir. There's nothing here that I want. Actually, wait a minute. What is this? UAV? Hell yeah.
Request recon flyover.
UAV entering the AO.
This guy's this way. He's in this building. Well, he's not in this building. He's in the next area.
Be advised, UAV is bingo fuel. RTB for resupply.
There's two people, though. There's one over there and there's one in here. Once I kill this guy, I'm going to have trouble. I don't know if he's on the roof or in the first floor, but I'm going to go to the first floor. So I like to creep like this because I could hear them. He's on the roof. Little bastard.
Move to the next area and secure the perimeter.
How do I get up there again?
Enemy UAV
Damn
overhead.
it. You dirty bastards. They're coming for me, dude.
Got a loadout drop inbound.
Woo. It's getting real. But yeah, I need help, bro. I'm building a team. I got a couple guys.
Gas is closing. Get
Damn it. That was a bad play. He got me, dog. He got me. Do I have enough in the stash? I don't got enough in the stash. Yes, I do. Coming back for vengeance, bro. I see where I died and I'm going right to it. I'm gonna stop at a house next door, but I'm going after him, bro. Whatever gun I got, I'm gonna use it. I don't even care. Oh, I can't go in here. Wasted. Damn it. There it goes. That's it. That's all I need. I'm going for war, bro. Look at him right there. some of my stuff back. Got a lot of my stuff back. He dipped. Which way did he go, George? But yeah, so I need help, man. And on top of that, I'm bringing the community together in a special way. I got something crazy planned. So it's gonna be popping. And for the haters, honestly, yo, I'm telling you all this because the haters actually they need love, man. They need love. Those people need the most love. You can't neglect peace haters because they really need love. If they got that darkness inside of them, they really need love. You know? That's just the truth. Oh snap, the map is closing. Oh man, I done messed up. I messed up big, dude. Is there a way to just like no gun?
Enemy UAV overhead.
They got a UAV on me. I should have picked up that car. Everything's going wrong. It's all good though. Stay alive. But yeah, so everybody's welcome. Those hater people, that group, they're more than welcome, bro. This is bigger than me. This ain't even about me. So I'll explain it to you like this. After I did my league, it took 6 months. It was a 4-month league and then a 2 months playoffs, right?
Contract failed. Objectives out of range.
It was a 2 months playoffs. So after I did that, there was a lot of other leagues trying to survive, trying to do something with themselves. And I helped train them. I showed them how to run their leagues properly. But they had a lot of crazy guys on there sometimes, and people just wasn't with that program. And what ended up happening is a lot of the leagues got shut down. Then they were like, "Why don't you come work for us and work with us?" And it's like, bro, the reason I stopped my season after we finished the last one was oh snap, the map is still closing. Yo, what the? Yo, it's closing too fast, man. So they were asking for my help, and it was some league, two league people who were hating me on Twitter, but I still looked out for them because it's not about me. It's not about like NBA Live don't got a lot of great creators. They don't got a lot of great content creators. They don't got big names. You know what I'm saying? Like they got part-time big names that'll come by once in a while. They got, you know, celebrities who will come by if they get paid, you know, type of thing. But that's it. You feel me? I had to try to get something. There's a dude right around here running with me. There he is. I needed all that, bro. I didn't even give him a shot. Oh no. Ah, I knew it.
Learn from the loss. Failure's a proper teacher.
So anyway, so I was big time supportive. I was pushing all these people like crazy to motivate them for the past couple months that my league has ended. I was helping them since I stopped and I paused and I waited for the next game to come out. I'm like, I'm gonna wait, and all of a sudden, you know, none of them succeeded. There's a few of them doing okay, and they could ask them around, and they'll tell you like, hey, he's been pushing us. He's been trying to motivate us, show us the ropes, tell us how to do things, and training people, spending my time to train people. You know, so that was been my current movement. But I want to take it to the next level, man. I want to take not only NBA Live, but its community to the next level, and we got to have stars. So I'm going to build stars. I'm going to try to highlight the community and make them see something better. You know what I mean? So that's what's going down, man. How you feel about this setup, bro? I kind of like it. The only thing I don't like about my setup is if you look over there, where is it? Over there on the bottom, there's no tips. Nobody be tipping me, bro. It's crazy. Disrespectful. Oh man, I gotta watch this fight. I'm missing some good fights right now. It's a big fight. UFC. The main fight I want to watch, so I might actually end the stream or pause it so I can watch it. But today, one of the fights that I've definitely probably already missed, Anthony Pettis versus Cowboy Cerrone. And then they got Dominique Cruz versus Triple C. And they got Tony Ferguson, one of the greatest. I love this guy. Versus Justin Gaethje. So it's going to be some wild stuff. Those 3 fights I just named, it's going to be wild. I'm missing some of them already. I probably should turn it on now and just get it ready. So that when the... Let me see.
Get yourself sorted. We'll be deployed.
I'll try to watch it now. Let's see. Yo, man, it was good, bro. We got to talk very soon. It's hard for me to, like, update one person. But, we'll figure something out. I got to get in touch with you so you can know about all this stuff, you know? But, yeah, man. Take care of yourself, man. They keep shooting me. I don't even care.
Playtime's over, mate. You're going to the war zone.
Trying to see if this thing is gonna turn on. That looks kind of dope, though. You don't like the UFC? Damn, dog, you hating. That's crazy.
Battle Royale.
You crazy, man. You crazy.
Gas closing in fast. Get to the safe zone.
UFC got some good fighters, bro. Regardless if you like Dana White or not, he's put in work to give us a lot of great MMA fighters.
Anybody need this?
Top tier guys, man. This will be my last battle royale.
Going in.
Wow, I jumped out super. I see where we're going.
Objective is to eliminate the bounty target. Your primary objective is to kill them all. Your teammate was sent to
How you
the
go
gulag.
upstairs?
They'll
There
fight
it is.
for a chance to redeploy.
The area.
Ooh, I got my favorite gun. It's gonna be a problem now. Let me put this headset on, man.
Your teammate was sent to the gulag. They'll fight for a chance to redeploy. Your teammate has been cleared for redeployment.
Contact.
Bastards. Wasn't paying attention. Man, is this fight gonna work?
This is the Gulag. Survive and you can redeploy. You're up next, mate. Get ready.
I'm not even focused. I might die right now.
Lose, you're done here.
I really want to get this UFC fight on my screen.
Time to earn your freedom, soldier.
Got him, baby.
Stand by for redeployment.
Where is it? There it is. I'm more into the team computer than the game right now. I gotta find any weapon, dude. Anything. Come on, man. Give me something. There we go. It's actually a gun I like. So, see if they got some upstairs. Should try. Ooh. Nope. Yep. I don't want that.
Gas is inbound.
Some of my teammates quit already, bro. Whack.
Supply box located. Move to secure.
I will.
Your teammates done in. They're returning to base. Your
This
team
is why
is
it's not good to
KIA. It's
play
up to
this
you now.
solo with randoms. And you gotta just fight a group now. Me and with one other guy. And he quit too. So basically I'm solo again. Versus groups. See how long I last. It's only 30 teams. Which is a lot. We're on 4.
Next objective located.
There's nothing in there. Stick with these. I'm gonna stick with what I got right now. I like it. I hear someone.
Enemy soldier incoming. Objectives updated. Move to the next location.
I'm gonna let them fight. I'm just gonna step out. Alright folks, it's time to watch it in the real deal. A lot of money.
Supply box is found. Solid work.
Yeah boy. Alright, so I'm doing alright. I could have revived one of my teammates by now, but guys are douches. So I am gonna camp because it's 4 against 1 my times. You know what I mean? Whatever. Let me go to the back first before I do anything. Right here. I can get one of these. Might as well. Actually, I'm gonna try it a revive. It's not really worth getting a revive because if you're in the middle of a fight, they're gonna down you and kill you right away. So this is gonna be my spot. I gotta learn it for now. There's a lot of windows I can get hit from. Some windows this way. Let's check downstairs. A lot of entrances. There's no doors on anything, so that's good and bad. Down here is not safe though. Up here is decent. It's a little stash spot right here. Could look for creases to try to climb up. If I can get up on this hay, I'll be real good. Nope. Damn it. Nope. It's gonna be a boring match, guys. There we go. Alright, so I can get up here. But that's not a good spot, regardless. Can't get up there. That's where I would want to get up. And let me see something. If I can jump over there, the game's not gonna let me. Alright, alright. How about something like this? No.
Friendly loadout drop on the way.
Yeah, I don't think this is where I want to be. Let's see. We're gonna move. I want to try something out before we go forward.
You've got gas inbound.
Nah, I don't like it. I'm gonna have to change the background. I like the background a little bit, not a lot of it. So I had to test it to see if I felt good about it. Come on. Might as well. Sure, there'll be somebody waiting to shoot me.
Losing ground.
The fact that I'm still alive when it's squads of 4 and I'm by myself, no teammates, it's a miracle. But I'm not really playing aggressive. It's just casual. It's gonna be a sniper in those buildings up that way. If he could hit me from this far, then he deserves to win the whole game. We'll see. If you see the scope, you can look. You can see the shine from a scope. It'd probably be down here, but most likely there'll be one up there. Some of the best positioning in the game to get up very high like that. So me practicing this is pretty much learning how to turn and shoot. So doing a run, turn, shoot. It's not easy. Trying to pick up whatever I can right now. Got no money. Got no money.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Damn it, they got a UAV. That's the building you want to watch. This one and this one. I believe you can get up there. On the second one, I'm not sure. Should be able to do all the roofs, but who knows? Yes.
Request recon flyover.
UAV entering the AO.
I'm about to get shot trying to get this. Where is that? That's weird. There's a group right there, right in front of me.
Be advised.
I'm gonna be a madman and try to attack them. Or not. See how they're shooting? Oh, he one-shotted me. Wow.
The enemy took that one, but we'll be back to finish the job.
Roger.
It wasn't one shot, but the fight isn't popping up. The fight isn't popping up, man.
Got some armor here.
Da, I need
Duh. It's a good match. We did what we could.
Big cow over here.
Take this off for a second. For some reason these links aren't working. Come on, ESPN. See if this one works. This one is the best. Alright, so right now I don't like how this happens. Because when I change the scene, it doesn't look too great the way I want it to. So I'm gonna cut it off on here. When it's here, you could leave it. When it's here, you could shrink it. And then when it's here, do it big. That's how we're gonna do it. Bam. Perfect. Alright, let's see if this link is gonna work. Matches weren't that great. I'm kind of over it. I'm actually gonna go back to PvP and I'm gonna open up all the game modes. What should I pick? I don't know. There's so many. It's difficult for me. Might actually switch the game, guys. Switch it up. Switch it up. Switch it up. Switch it. Let me see what happens when I do it like this. Ooh, let's fly. Bam. I like it. Let's do a little bit of siege. Stay in the first person mode just for a couple minutes. Then I'll go back. You know what's crazy? I like it better when it's here. Right? And then when I go here, it shouldn't be there. Because it's up close and personal. When I switch to the game, I can do it like that. I don't know. We gonna see. Oh no. No. I think I found the stream, but it's giving me a hard time. My flirt is flirting. My flirt. Alright, hold on a second. She's gonna have to wait a couple minutes. Damn it. I can't get this UFC up. It's gonna be hard to find the link. Is my music still playing and I have it on mute? Shoot. Hey, we're gonna take a pause. Let me come on over here real quick. Banga. Do that. Bang banga. I kinda like that. Okay. These bastards. Guys, I'm working on something. Don't mind me. I'm working on something. Actually, I gotta be careful. If the sound comes out, I'll get copyright strikes just from sound. Just from sound. Here we go. Let's see. Let's see. I think we are live now. I got it. I got it, folks. I gotta put a headset on. Gotta put a headset on, man. We about to just chill out and talk. How about that? Is that possible? I should put on Call of Duty on this thing. Let's do that. And I want to see what's up. Be all up in the camera, man. All up in the camera. Got it working. Need to get my headset. Where did I put the damn thing? Stop looking at my button. Hopefully this doesn't mess up any audio. Mic check. I can't even hear it anyways. It's not good. Not good. They're good headsets for my phone. You might have to go Bluetooth, baby. And this will probably be the first time I watched UFC fight later. I've never watched one later. Might just turn the stream off for the day, guys. Only the mobile people are active. Everybody else is just lurking, which I don't mind. Bluetooth mode, baby. I'm connected. Alright, let me turn the sound on to see if it comes through. Oh, so we still not in my fight. The main fight that I want to see, so we're good. Could play a couple more rounds. The stream is lagging though. They're talking crazy trash right now. Fixing up my stream real quick. It starts slacking up. I might have to back up, man. Yeah, I'm probably gonna end the stream, guys. just extra not focused. I wanted to try it, some Call of Duty, but I'm not that into it right now. I might come back in a couple hours, in about an hour. It's gonna take actually 2 hours before I come back, if y'all are still awake, because I'm probably gonna stay up all night working or playing. All right. All right, let's get one more game in because I could still play and have this on for now with no volume while I play. Yiddy. Battle Royale. I'm done with Battle Royale right now. We going in. All right, here we go.
HQ contested.
Man.
Headquarters. Control the HQs as they come up. The enemy's here. Defend the HQ. HQ shut down. Regroup.
My. Let's change
Get
my
ready for the
setup.
next HQ.
There it is.
Reloading. New HQ established.
Wasn't paying attention.
HQ is active. Take control.
Bro, it scared the life out of me. Damn, they capturing quick. They killing us all. Come on, man.
We've lost the HQ.
Come on. Had a headshot there.
Disabling the HQ. Keep your eyes open. HQ secure. Get ready for the next HQ.
Oh, snap. Wait.
New HQ established.
Getting owned every time I try to get to an HQ. They're gonna all be in there capturing. You see how their whole team is capturing right now? Our team is not even close. It's crazy. He spawned right behind me. You serious?
Enemy has captured the HQ. We're losing control. HQ contested. We're disabling the HQ. HQ secure. Get ready to hunt.
These guys are just ahead of us right now.
Get to the new HQ.
I feel like my stream is... My internet's lagging. And,
We've lost the HQ. Enemy personal radar in the air. HQ contested. HQ contested. Shutting down the enemy HQ. Enemies halfway there. Stepping up. We've taken the HQ. Enemy care package inbound. We're moving soon. Get ready.
yeah, I'm definitely lagging. You see how he's... Either it's the players or it's me, but...
Enemy UAV overhead.
I think it's me.
Enemy cruise missile incoming.
It's a bad round.
Enemy at the cargo container. HQ active. Control it. Taking HQ. We have the HQ. Stay alive. HQ contested. Enemy personal radar in the air. HQ contested. Reloading.
He got me.
Can't send reinforcements yet. Hold for the HQ.
That was a good shot. I would have definitely
Trying to shut down our
popped off. I don't know. I lost my rhythm. After that first 2 games,
We're moving soon.
I lost my rhythm. This UFC got me crazy. It's a weird thing. During the quarantine.
Control.
Come on. I had that.
Copy. Falcon 301. Personal radar coverage.
Enemy personal radar in the air.
Enemy at the
HQ active. Control it. HQ contested. Taking HQ.
Stacking on my pimping.
HQ contested. Enemy. Get over there.
This is Falcon.
Enemy personal radar in the air. HQ captured. We're moving soon. Get ready. Enemy care package inbound.
Enemy in the courtyard.
New HQ established.
Try to slide my way in there, but I can't really slide too far. This makes no sense.
HQ is active. Take control. Taking HQ. Enemy UAV overhead. Precision entry. Take up AO.
Come on.
HQ is ours. No reinforcements available. HQ disabled. Get ready to move out. Enemy care package inbound. Get ready to hunt.
What was I doing? Here it goes. That's what we're gonna do, baby. ESPN.
Next location marked. Control. Enemy UAV overhead. Enemy personal radar in the air.
I'm gonna camp this one. Normally I'm roaming, but this is a terrible one to camp.
HQ is active. Take control. Capturing the HQ.
I didn't notice they can climb up there.
No reinforcements.
I didn't even know there was a door there. I'm too occupied right now. I'm on this ESPN trying to find
Deploy
the
for the next wave.
fight already. Might be here.
HQ contested. Enemy is trying to come on. HQ. We're in the lead. Enemy personal radar in the air. They disabled the HQ. Reinforcements inbound. Get ready for the next HQ.
HQ. I didn't even know you can get up here. Oh, this is a regular.
Next location marked. Control it.
Enemy at the courtyard.
Good practice.
HQ is marked. Get moving.
Really great position up here. If I can get another guy up here with me, this would be clutch.
We have the HQ. Personal radar drone ready.
Not here on the other side, dude.
Copy. Falcon 3 en route for personal radar coverage.
HQ contested. UAV ready. We're winning this. Keep fighting. Cluster ready.
Ah, should have just threw the grenade first.
AO is too hot.
Would have got at least one or two of them.
Disable the HQ. We're moving soon. Get ready. Enemy UAV overhead.
This is Falcon 3-0. Personal radar completed. Recalling to base.
Next location marked. Control it.
This is Falcon 3-0. Good copy. UAV beginning flyover.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Okay. It's not gonna be on ESPN3, that's for sure. And
UAV is out of fuel.
HQ is active. Take control.
ESPN2,
Taking
maybe.
HQ. HQ contested. They're capturing the HQ. Go. HQ contested. Capturing the HQ. Enemy cruise missile incoming.
That was actually pretty good.
HQ is ours. No reinforcements.
It's gonna be game right now.
Enemy VTOL in the AO.
Got the win. That's all that matters.
The enemy is defeated. We remember our name.
I didn't do so hot. It's a pretty bad round. Hey, I gotta get out of here, man. Gotta watch this fight. I'm dying to see this. Hope Tony Ferguson wins. We deserve it. Alrighty. Everybody, man, it's been a pleasure. You already know. We'll be back for more tomorrow or maybe later. It's been a good stream. Very relaxed for today. And signing off, man. I'll be easy, you hear me? Love you guys. Yo, just show the I can't show it. I want to be banned on all of my platforms. I don't mind getting banned on one, but all of them, that's when it gets real. But yeah, man, thank you for coming. I'll catch you later.